Today's episode is brought to you by Forvis Mazars.
SoundCartel.
From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. The online world has made us much more accessible to each other, so we should engage in more conversation, shouldn't we? Well, no, as it turns out. Sue Barrett, sales expert and CEO of Barrett Consulting Group, says the digital world hasn't changed the way we sell for the better. She says we need to get back to prospecting and get personal with one-on-one interaction. And with advertising seemingly at saturation levels, dare I say it, picking up the phone and making a call could be the answer. Sue's talking to Chris Ashmore.
So we've got this kind of dilemma where a lot of people want to feed stuff into people's social media threads and lines and stuff. And a lot of people going, oh, it's too much, I can't be bothered, and why would I, and so on. So I think the challenge that we have is that people have often then fallen into looking at advertising for lead generation as the solution to drive leads. But we're finding something different out there, and something that a lot of people don't like doing, but if you master it and do it well, is still really, really important, and in fact becoming more important given what I just shared about advertising.
What is that important thing? Is that the personal touch? Is it picking up the phone?
I always like to say that marketing talks to groups, sales talks to individuals. And one of the things that salespeople, good salespeople have known, and even people who don't like sales have known, is that prospecting, the ability to pick up a phone, call someone, capture their attention, and then put something, to create an opportunity to have a discussion about something is mission critical still. In fact, Astrid, who works with me, she's from a marketing background and particularly business to business. It's not in full research mode yet that we've found this information, but anecdotally what we're discovering is that particularly in the US, there's been some very senior chief marketing officers looking at lead generation and seeing what actually brings leads into the business, what's working. And because they're spending huge amounts of money on advertising to help generate leads. And they're discovering that all the money that is spent on marketing, the advertising that they're doing, isn't actually cutting through as well as they would like. And when they get spikes in inbound leads and lead generation, they've actually discovered that it's when people prospect. So when they pick up a phone and call someone, whether they get you or not, but they leave a message or text a message, and also when they might email someone specifically, so human to human, very specific, tailored to Chris, for example, sending you a message. Now, you may not respond to me immediately, but what that does is, if it's tailored to you, means that something will have sparked in your brain. You may not be ready yet to respond to me, but what they found is whether you responded immediately or down the track, it was because of the prospecting, not because of the advertising. Now, this is not validated research yet, but, we've always been kind of pioneers looking at touching the spider webs, the web of whatever's happening. And this is emerging. And this is what we discover in our work too, that calling people, contacting them human to human, personalizing it, not generalizing it like marketing would, is still highly, highly effective and helping generate more sales and more opportunity.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because when you do a sales call, there's that fear of being rejected, but that is not the way to look at it, is it? But you might not get the tick of approval on that call, but it's leading towards a sale. It could be 3, 6, 12 months down the track or longer.
Well, exactly. Now, marketing should, if you're curating information, help. So it can't be specific. So again, as you know, I write lots of articles. I've been writing since 2007, an article every week. So we've got, hundreds and hundreds of them now. You can use information like that to send something to someone specifically. EDMs, email and EDMs still are effective, but they need to be tailored. And this is where you're actually curating information specifically for someone, for a particular area that might be top of mind for them and what's important. But you're right, fear of rejection is actually a real construct. It's a physiological construct from very primitive days when we lived in tribes. If you got rejected, it was a death sentence, basically. So people don't want to upset people. They don't want to say something that might get them rejected. But in today's world, to prospect, you have to learn to overcome that primitive response and be very articulate and discerning in how you engage people. And people who are very effective at relationships and very effective at creating opportunity, engaging with people, have learnt, be through default or design, how to actually position themselves effectively so that the other person will go, oh, that's really interesting. I should talk to them about that. That's prospecting, whether it's setting up a play date with other parents for your kids, or it's actually prospecting to whoever in your database marketplace to have a discussion about a new opportunity or something that might be of interest to them. It always has to be positioned. So most people have never been taught how to prospect properly. And once they learn how to do it, that should set them up. However, there are issues around how people view selling and prospecting particularly, and it's this fear of rejection, and there's all sorts of issues, and it's more multi-layered than just fear of rejection. There's a whole range of ways you could feel rejected, or you're anxious, or you don't want to make contact, you're hesitant. So there's these triggering fears that, we do a lot of work in helping people understand them and then overcome them so that they can free themselves up to prospect effectively. But you need to know how to do it, and you also need to know, have you got any fear-based responses that are still preventing you from engaging? But once you understand it and logically, and then you work out, okay, as long as I'm not, a horrible person or rude or anything, what's the worst that can happen? They just say no. But selling is a numbers game, but it's a quality numbers game. It's a discerning numbers game. It's not just a splat, make bazillion calls. But we do know research-wise that the most successful people, guess what, are the ones who make the most prospecting calls to the people that need to know about them.
Well, they get more skillful at it as well, not just the numbers, yeah?
Yeah. But unfortunately, most people get more skillful at it by default and learning it as they go rather than being taught how to do it. But once you show people how to do it, and this is where if you can get consistency, we've just done a big review of all of the clients and prospects we've spoken to over the last 5 years as to what really matters to them, what's important, what's really causing them issues. And there's a number of things, but one of the things is lack of consistency across their teams. There's a lot of random acts of sales. And so it's very hard to build a business on random. It's much easier to build a business on good process, good structure, good consistency, that you can show people how to do these things, and you've got standards. And then people can learn those standards. You can coach to those standards. You can do this in prospecting. But most people have just learnt it as they go and by accident. And you don't have to be like that. You could double or triple your sales force overnight by not putting an extra person on board, but teaching everyone how to do this stuff. And that just absolutely accelerates opportunity. And we're seeing this in businesses when we bring the philosophy everybody lives by selling something. So whether it's going for a job, whether it's helping clients, whatever it is. But this fear of rejection really does hamstring a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Do you have any tips on prospecting in a nutshell?
Yep. Okay. A couple quick tips. Firstly, you do need to know what your target market is, and you do need to know what they value, and you do need to understand how they're viewing the world, what's important to them. So you get some general view. You might have more specific information about individuals because you've had previous contact or someone's told you about something. You need to understand their perspective. You need to have a very clear call objective as to why you're calling them, so that, it's not just to have a coffee, it's to actually, open up an idea, an opportunity, something like that, or to take it to the next stage and so on. And then you need to create a compelling business reason. So when you ring them, they're going to go, oh, actually, I do want to listen to this person. This is something of interest and relevance to me, the person being called. Not, here we go, I've got this, do you want some? So having that kind of approach is very, very important when setting that up. And then persistence, because a lot of people go, oh my God, they haven't called me back yet. They haven't spoken to me, and they get all fear of rejection oriented. Seriously, people are very, very busy. What you've got to do is follow up and at least give them the benefit of the doubt. And then if they're not ready, you just say to them, look, not sure if you're ready at the moment about this, but when you are, let me know, whether it's a text message, an email to them, or a voicemail message if you haven't got to speak to them. And most people are decent. It's just that they don't like saying no. They don't want to be rejected either. They don't want to upset you. So just give them a good reason to come back to you with a yes or a no, but also keep the door open. Don't disgrace yourself. Don't get upset with them if they aren't ready now, because not everyone's ready now, but they may be ready in 3, 6, 12 months' time. So find ways to meaningfully stay in touch and add value.
That was Sue Barrett, CEO of Barrett Consulting Group. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow at BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Forvis Mazars. To find out more, visit forvismazars.com/au. That's FORVISMAZARS.com/au.